I've got some really bad news. Bitcoin's worst case scenario, the absolute worst thing that could happen in this bull run could be happening right before your eyes. But I've got some really bad news in this video, and I do have some good news to share as well. Let's get straight into the video. By the way, later in the video, I want to share one thing that completely changed my life in terms of health, wellness, clarity of mind. Let me share that a little bit later in the video. Hi, I'm Steve. I quit my job over 13 years ago, been traveling the world since, thanks to my trading and investing skills. Join me for sponsorship-free TA with genuine value that actually works. Subscribe. Here we are in the Bitcoin US dollar index, and we are on the monthly chart. On the monthly chart, we have two of the most important indexes you could ever have on your Bitcoin charts. Take a look. Right here at the bottom of our screen, we have the Traders Dynamic Index, the index that helped us predict not just the bottom of the market in 2018 and the start of the bull in 2019, but it also helped us predict the bottom of the market in 2022 and the start of the bull in 2023, which everyone thought we were crazy. This chart right here will take all of the guesswork and make it simple and easy to understand. Here's what we've got on our hands. You see these yellow circles above, right? Right now, we have a yellow circle because we have this red line on the rank correlation index crossing down. We've had that before right here when we are at the market cycle top back in 2021. You can see it right on your chart, right? Now, what we're doing is we're lining up the yellow here in the rank correlation index to the yellow here on the Traders Dynamic Index. If we have a red cross on the rank correlation index, red cross down, and we have a red cross down on the Traders Dynamic Index, well, then we're in some serious trouble and there's no way around it. Take a look at where we're at now. We have a red cross here and a red cross here. When is the last time we had both indexes have a cross down simultaneously? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but literally at our market cycle top, June 2021, rank correlation index had a cross down on the red. Traders Dynamic Index had a cross down on the red. By the way, if you want to follow at home, here is how to set up these indexes, right? This is the rank correlation index. You have the inputs here and you have the styles here. If you follow that, it'll be set up precisely like this. Now for the Traders Dynamic Index, we have the inputs here and we have the styles here. Once you do that, it'll be set up precisely like this. And you can use this chart for years and years to come, which helps you predict when to take profits, and it helps you, most importantly, when to buy. Now, when it screams to buy, which it did so at the bottom of the market when it was at 15, 16, when I was screaming at the top of my lungs that it's highly likely that the bottom is in, although 85% of the people wanted to disagree, we just simply used this chart that's on your screen right in front of you. There were no hidden tricks up my sleeve. I didn't have a crystal ball. I didn't use a magic 8-ball to try to guess. I used facts, and it was facts here as well as about 7 to 9 other charts that were all screaming that the bottom was in, right? So this chart is so simple, it's so clean, and it's so accurate. Now let's continue our journey. We have a yellow circle here, 2021, and a yellow here. We had a red cross down here. We had a red cross down here at exactly the market cycle top. This was the top. This was the double top. There's no debating that. Those are facts. Now, the previous time that we had a yellow and a yellow was here. Back here, it was January 2018. Back in the glory days, we had a red cross down. You can see it with your human eyes. Look with your human eyes at the chart. You see a red cross down here. Not good. Market cycle top. But you need both to be having the same signal. And Traders Dynamic Index, red cross down. Again, You can't make this up. This is right on our screen, factual based. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. So that happened at precisely the market cycle top. Now let's rewind to the prior time this happened. This is where things get relatively interesting. Remember, at the beginning of the show, I said I've got really, really bad news. And then I mentioned I do have some good news. Now, this is what happened back here in July 2013. Take a look. July 2013, you can see clearly that we had a red cross down in the rank correlation index. We also simultaneously had a red cross down in the trader's dynamic index. However, there are some key points to have highlighted here. With this red cross in the rank correlation index, it was just barely a cross down, and then we went sideways just below the blue, and then we picked back up because the market actually went to its actual top right after that. So there are some clues that you may be able to see as we speak. As we're discussing this, you may have already seen the huge clues, right? And we need to discuss these blue circles here, this blue one and this blue one, because that's where things get pretty interesting as well. But again, we cannot make this up. The red line crossed down here, and we had a cross down here in the trader's dynamic index. Now, here's where things take a little bit of a turn, right? I showed you 3 other data points. 66% of them represented precisely the market cycle top, where 33% of them represented a one more rally to the top. However, there are some clear signs in this 2013 that are very different to what we see happening today. I don't know if you can see already, but we're going to circle back to that in a moment. What you can see happening present day is this red line got far above the green line, right? Can't make that up. You open your human eyes, you look at the chart, you're like, oh my God, I can identify a red line, and I can clearly identify that's above the green. Whether you know what this rank correlation index represents, whether you know charts inside out and backwards and forwards, you can identify red above the green. You can see it. Now, you can also identify that down here in the trader's dynamic index, this red one got above the blue, not up for debate. What you can't see in this 2013 cycle is in our trader's dynamic index, we did not have the red get above the blue, not up for debate. You can see it. We have the red here, neither of which are above the blue. That is a concern because we mentioned 33% of the time, this did not represent the market cycle top. But if we have clearly defined rules of what happened in all of the cycles, which it did represent the top, we had the red line clearly above the blue here, and the red line here clearly above the blue here. You can see it, right? Not up for debate. You can also see it in the 2021 cycle, red above the blue and red above the blue, right? What happened in this cycle? Well, red above the blue and red above the blue, not up for debate. Now, what we did want to reference are these blue circles. Now, the bad news, let's get the bad news completely out of the way first. And I know people will be, a lot of the herd will just see the title of the video and they're like, oh my God, we're crashing to zero. Sell everything. Steve said we're going to zero. No, Steve did not say that. Steve has identified the color red so far, and we've identified the color blue so far. And if you can differentiate the two, you're on a pretty good path. The herd, they just, oh my God, I'm pretty sure Steve said it's going to zero. No, so far we've identified there could be a pretty big problem. Not up for debate. Just using factual evidence that's right in front of us, this could be a big problem. But I did say we have some good news. And this is where these blue circles come in. Right? On these blue circles, what you can see is back here in the middle of the bull, right before the COVID crash, we had this red guy crash between below the green and below the blue. You can see it right on your charts. You can also see in the early stages of this bull, we did pretty much the same thing. We had the red crash below the green. The only thing it didn't do was crash below the blue, right? That was right after the 200-day move sideways. So you can see that once in a while, we'll have a false signal. However, what we didn't see is that we had the red crash below in the rank correlation index and the trader's dynamic index. What we didn't see is the trader's dynamic index. At the same time we had this blue, our red never got even close to above the blue here. Also, here in 2023, when we had this crash down, when we were at 25K in the midst of this bull run, we also didn't see the red get anywhere close to above the blue here. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that these were false signals only in the rank correlation index. However, when we have red cross down followed by red cross down at the bottom, when both of them line up, and we do so following the rules of the red has to be above the blue here, and the red has to be above the blue here, which happened in 2021, and it happened in 2017, and it did not happen with this false signal here. In other words, if we have clearly defined rules of the red has to be above and the red has to cross down on both the top and the bottom, we've only have 2 data points which all of those rules are true. And this is where the bad news comes in. The third data point where all of our rules are yes. Again, the first data point is the top of 2017. The second data point is the top of 2021. The third data point, unfortunately, is now, where we had all of our rules met. The red line needs to be above, it was. The red line needs to be above here, it was. The red line needs to crash through clearly both the green and the blue, it did. The red line needs to crash below the blue and the green here, it did. All of our rules are met for only the third time in history. The other 2 marked precisely the market cycle tops. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. Now, this is where things get interesting. Take a look. Keep in mind, when we had this cross down in 2018, we were literally at the market cycle top. We are at the pinnacle candle, right? In 2021, when we had this happen with the top and the bottom, we were quite literally at the market cycle top. Not up for debate, right? We were literally at the market cycle top. When it happened present day, right, we had this one happen a lot later than this one, right? This one happened pretty early. That's where things start to throw a little curveball, because this wasn't at the highest candle, right? This had a cross down on this candle, which saw a high of about 65, not 74. This one crossed down a lot earlier, right? This is our rank correlation index. We want to go to the trader's dynamic index, and we actually crossed down in April of 2024, which happened at that swing high of about 74, but they didn't line up. So things are slightly different in this cycle, and what could save the day is something a little bit similar to this one, which wasn't really according to the rules, but it was very close. And this is where we swing back to potentially our good news. When we dig into the facts here, with the rank correlation index, we did have the red line above the blue, which we have present day. We did have the red line crash below the blue, which we have present day. However, we went back above both with that second swing up. Now, we've compared this 2013 cycle in several charts. There is a chance that we still could do something similar. I wouldn't say it's similar in price movement. I would say that Bitcoin, best case scenario, has one more push to the upside, which could be a double top, a triple top, or however many you want to count it, but from the prior cycle. And it could result in pretty strong bearish divergence, right? What we see happening in the trader's dynamic index is our red line wasn't above the blue. However, the indicator doesn't have enough data to really determine whether it was above or not. This is the beginning of the data that we started collecting here. It's not sufficient data to really get sufficient evidence. So right now we've got sort of a curveball where Bitcoin could be in this sort of scenario, which would be the best case scenario. And this scenario, the 66% of the time, would quite literally represent Bitcoin's worst nightmare happening before our eyes. Now, as disciplined traders, we never overreact to one individual chart. As I mentioned many times, there's about 12 to 15 charts that I studied over multiple cycles to predict the market cycle top. This is one of the 15. This does not represent all 15. This is one individual chart. So everybody in the herd will overreact. They'll be like, oh my God, we're going to zero. This is one chart that shows like, hey, things could be horrifically bad, but we're holding on to a thread that it could be more similar to the 2013. We need to dig in to some more facts in the charts to make an informed decision. Let's not overreact to one individual chart, but let's be very, very clear. This could be devastating for Bitcoin. It could be a huge curveball that nobody is anticipating. And luckily, this is exactly what the 5.3 theory predicted years ago, which is Bitcoin will not get above 100K and it may not even get to 80K. So we could be right on schedule for that. By the way, earlier in the episode, I said, let me share this one thing that completely changed my life in terms of health, wellness, clarity of mind. It's something that a lot of you do. And every time I talk about it, the comments explode. It's 1 meal per day or intermittent fasting. This is something that I've been doing almost for 4 years. And it's remarkably healthy for the body. It makes you appreciate food even more. It will help you lose a ton of weight. It will help you have the clarity of mind. There are so many positive effects inside and outside of the body, right? Right now, the weight I am was the weight that I started on year 1 of intermittent fasting, and it's the same weight I was when I was 17. This weight I am right now. But the intermittent fasting, essentially what I do is for breakfast, I have water. I have to drink 2 liters of water during the hours of breakfast. Once I do that, my reward to myself is juice. I drink fresh juice. And people will say, oh my God, this is 1 meal a day. You can't have that, can't have. I don't like to follow anyone else's rules. I follow my own rules in my whole life since I was a little kid. So these are my rules. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. You can make your own rules. I'm just saying what I do has really worked for me because these are things I really like. I like to reward myself with things. So when I drink 2 liters of water, I reward myself with juice or perhaps some other type of liquid that's non-water. And then for dinner, I have a meal. So some people do intermittent fasting where they eat for like a 6-hour period. I don't follow anyone else's rules. I eat 1 meal, just dinner. I don't try to stuff my face for 6 hours. I literally just have 1 meal, right? A normal sized meal. So what this intermittent fasting does is inside of the body, there's less food, right? Humans overeat. Humans were not constructed to have 3 meals a day. Humans were not constructed to have 3 meals a day and tons of snacks per day. You have no idea how many snacks you have per day because you've never paid attention to it. Therefore, when you're consuming food, you don't even appreciate it because you've never even stopped to think how much food you're putting in your face throughout the day because it's normal. All the humans around you are doing the same thing. This will change your life. Watch the comments flood with people who have had their life changed. Now, I want to add one thing to it. What I've done with this intermittent fasting is I've really mastered the structure that I've built. And by the way, I have one cheat day. Every Friday is what's called Boys Day. It's where me and my son, we go out on the town in whatever country we happen to be in, and we live the dream. We do it big, and we usually eat things that are not quite good for the body. It's our cheat day. Our go-to is the best burger joint in whatever country or city we happen to be in. We love it. And we might have a little bit of candy, right? By a little bit of candy, I mean my son might have a piece of sugar-free gum and might get a little bit crazy with a Jolly Rancher, right? We live relatively healthy lifestyles, but on Fridays, we go a little bit crazy. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. So I've mastered this sort of structure of one meal per day. What I've added on to it is this focus on sleep. What I've learned about sleep is it's the most important thing for our human bodies, even more important than the one meal per day. Sleep literally determines our health and wellness for years and decades to come. I have really tried to master the sleep thing. I've done a lot to incorporate into my daily life to focus on sleep. One thing I have in the room that my wife and I sleep in is a sound machine, a white noise. Another thing I do is I have a face cover to block out the light. Another thing we do is we have blackout curtains wherever we're living, right? So blackout curtains, this thing blocks out the light as well. Another thing I do is I stop drinking any liquids like 4 hours before I go to bed, okay? Anytime you put too much liquid in your body, you're going to want to pee. And even if you have the sensation of pee, you're going to want to wake up. And even if you don't go to the toilet to pee, it wakes you up. Anytime that you can control your sleep environment and can control the things that wake you up, like the circadian rhythm that humans have by blocking out the light, you will sleep longer, you will sleep sounder, and whenever you sleep longer and sounder and in a deeper sleep, an REM sleep, you're going to wake up feeling rejuvenated. I have gotten to the point where I'm trying to hit 8 hours. Years ago, I did not focus on sleep, and I was focused on a whole bunch of other things, but not health. What you realize in your 20s and 30s, you don't really focus on health. And then you start waking up and you're like, man, my arm hurts. What did I do yesterday? Oh yeah, I did this one sport activity for 10 minutes. And now, like, you realize you're like, I'm getting old. What can you do? You focus on sleep. Sleep will repair the body. So that's what I focused on. And it's completely changed my clarity, my focus, my attention, my creativity, my drive, everything. I can feel my body if I'm missing 30 minutes of sleep. If I get 7.5 hours of sleep as opposed to 8 hours, I can feel a huge difference in my focus, in my clarity, in my creativity, in my drive. But in my 20s and 30s, I didn't even notice it because I didn't even know about sleep. Therefore, I never focused on it. Sleep is one of the most important things. So for all of those folks that I've been talking about one meal per day or intermittent fasting, I want you to start to focus on sleep and watch your life change. Leave a comment down below. I can't wait to read them. More to come. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you right back here in the next video. This bull run is our road to 500,000 subscribers, but I need your help. Today, tell one person about our YouTube channel, how we spit facts, go against the herd, take no paid sponsorships of any kind. Road to 500,000, let's go.